There it is. Oh my God, it takes forever. It was not showing live to me. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zolo. It is a special edition of MPI because we're a little longer today, and it is the day before the NFL draft. So this is our yearly 2023 NFL mock draft show where we go picks 1 through 31 this year because one team was naughty and they didn't get their first round pick this year. So they got it revoked. They were naughty. The Miami Dolphins were some bad fishies, so they don't get their first round pick this year. So 31 picks in the first round this year. Can't remember the last time there wasn't 32 before the new additions of the Houston Texans. But we have Josh, Ryan, the normal two, Austin, Joel, Michael, Jagger. You've all seen them before on this show. They are here because we're going to break down all of their picks. Let's waste no more time and dive into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zolo. In a very weird configuration, Josh and Ryan here. And then an even weirder configuration, Jagger, Michael, Joel, and Austin. How is everybody?
Good. 10 out of 10.
Philly, baby. Let's
fantastic.
go.
This is an overwhelming configuration we have here.
But 24 hours to the draft. How are we not all great?
Right? Exactly. Less than, right? 7 o'clock Eastern. I mean, the Panthers are number one on the clock, but they won't actually make the announcement until like 8:30 Eastern. Yeah. So we have a little bit of time. All right. Chalupa Batman says it's Jeff Wilson season. Where's my brother for that comment? Also, I love Albert every time. He's so nice. Good evening. Good. He's so classy about it.
It's good to know we haven't corrupted him after all these years.
Yeah, literally. All right. Well, friends, family, enemies, what we have tonight for you is picks 1 through 31, where we have already drafted before. Jagger had picks. I think everyone had at least 4 picks. Some people had 5. Jagger, Jorge, who is not here with us tonight, last minute thing he couldn't be here for, but we'll still talk about Jorge's picks. And Josh all had 5 picks. Ryan, Michael, and Joel and Austin all had 4 picks. So we will go through everybody's. This mock draft was done over about 24, 48 hours. It was
pretty quick.
Oh, we did have a couple picks like an hour ago. So
yes, because
I
Packers
have no comment
and Jets
on that.
make a trade. So
the first round or the first 3 picks were delayed because someone didn't pay attention that we had gotten started, and it took me 3 hours to make my first pick, which was the easiest.
Come on, Ryan. Jesus.
Josh texted me and yelled at me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Twitter DMs, those are a thing."
Yeah. Well, we're starting off number 1 with a bang.
Oh, yeah, Jagger. What the hell?
Because the combine hero, Superman himself, Anthony Richardson, is going to go 1 to the Carolina Panthers, according to Mr. Fantasy Blue Chip. So, Jagger, are you just fucking with us, or do you really believe Anthony Richardson goes number 1? I'm very interested.
I did what they should do, and
okay.
I think he's the most talented player, and they have one of the best coaching staffs for teaching. So I know no one wants to get fired, but I think Anthony Richardson's a good pick here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, because right now we don't know anything. Normally by now we would know who the number 1 pick is, and we're just waiting on them to call Joe Burrow or something. So now we're hearing Bryce Young one day, CJ Stroud another day. I heard Will Levis. I'm just going with the guy I think has the most talent.
Hey, that's very fair. I just know the last time a Florida quarterback who couldn't throw the football was picked in the first round didn't really go over so well. And that's why Josh McDaniels was fired as a head coach. So, hey, if Frank Reich wants to go, 0 for 2 in head coaching jobs, he should probably take Anthony Richardson. My role here,
selection, let me tell you.
my role here, is I know nothing, and I will shit on everyone's picks that I think I know something.
And
about.
this is what I love about this, because Jagger, you said this is what I would do if I had that pick.
Yeah.
Every year we do this, there's always some combination of, okay, this is what I would do if I was the GM of this team, and then this is what I think they will do because I actually want to get a pick right. I don't think we hit on any picks in last year's.
I was just going to say,
No.
I'm here for the fun.
Not true. I got Chris Olave to the Saints.
Austin
Okay.
remembers the one of the 32, of course.
because he got it right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fair. Jagger's right. Normally, we've known, okay, this guy's going number one. There's literally Will Levis, as Ryan said in the pregame.
I was going to say,
Will
this
Levis
is the
was
time to bring
literally
it up.
floated out. Like, Ryan, go ahead. Please bring up your absurd betting statistics.
So apparently, due to Reddit comments, from what I understand, early
Love
Monday
Reddit.
morning, Will Levis was plus 4,000 to be the overall first pick of the draft. And as of this morning, it's down to plus 750 or off the books at some bookmakers, all because there are rumors that Will Levis is telling friends and family that he is going first overall. And it's easy to like just shit on all of this, but when the bookmakers listen, things are getting crazy because it's their job to make money. So, because if my opinion is there's zero chance he's going first overall, the bookmakers should make it plus 10,000 and just take every sucker's fucking money who are willing to throw money at this. Just keep pumping it up because he's not. It's Bryce Young. But again, I would not be mad about Anthony Richardson if Will Levis goes first overall.
It could be Stroud though.
Not with
Yes.
those test scores.
Are we sure those are accurate? Come on.
Do you mean like in school test scores, like math, or
No, the new
Yeah.
S2 scores.
We're not going there.
Oh,
Are
no.
we talked about this on Monday's show. I'm
Yeah,
just
we-
not buying into
I
any
say.
of the S2 score stuff.
I'll save some of the S2 stuff for when we get to CJ Stroud in the draft. So.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, Bryce Young is still minus 1,600 to be the first overall pick. So let's not look too much at the betting odds. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Will Levis is going number one, but the movement on Levis has been wild. I checked yesterday, and Levis was the betting favorite for the number 2 pick, and now that's shifted as well. So
I'm not laughing at you, Austin. I'm laughing at Zach's comment.
yeah. So for someone who doesn't really know anything, thank God Ryan's head's cut off for this.
I love it, Zach.
Big Mayo and Big Banana are pushing Levis to go 101 for the sponsorship. Am I missing something?
Robert
What
Kraft,
happened?
baby. That's
What
He
you're
literally
missing,
ate a
Joe.
banana on a screen, peel, like brown peel and all, and then he puts mayonnaise in his coffee and drinks it.
Yeah.
He's the worst.
I
person.
did.
Nice.
I did see the video that he had said he puts mayo in his coffee. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that should be automatic disqualification from the NFL draft.
I
Isn't
think he's
that-
trying to
isn't
be
that,
eccentric
though-
to be eccentric. Like he's just like trying to be
No.
one of those weird cool
No,
guys.
Jagger. That's white people being white people. That's not
true.
even
Oh, okay.
eccentric. That's just dumb white people shit. Okay.
Okay.
That's just mayo in your coffee. I don't even drink coffee, but like, there's definitely I wouldn't add mayo to make it taste better. That's a fact. Oh, okay. 102. Joshua, the 102. You are drafting for the Houston Texans, which at this point, any of us could draft for the Houston Texans and it'd be better than their current space that they have. You have Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. I don't want to spend too much time on this. They need a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, this was an easy one for me. I firmly believe that Young is the one that the Texans want if he ends up going one, which I think he will. And I think that's where a lot of the speculation of do they not go with a quarterback? Do they end up taking Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson? And, you know, I wrote up my How to Fix the Texans article in the beginning of the year, and that's basically what I
Love
said.
the team.
Young is the guy that they want, but do not sleep on Will Levis. I think that he is the type of quarterback with the intangibles that Nick Caserio looks for. That just my personal opinion, and I think that's where like you're seeing some of the Levis at 2, Levis potentially going at 12. Good friend of the show, Britt Flynn, her recent mock draft for Fantasy Alarm, she had Will Levis going to the Texans at 12. I think there's legitimate smoke there with Levis in Houston, but the way that this draft shakes out, with Richardson going 1, Young at 2 is an easy one for me. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft.
Okay. Ryan, you have the Cardinals. You have them picking Will Anderson, the edge defender, who many people think might be the most talented person in the draft. So
I was going to say, yeah, for a team that's needs edge rushers, this just kind of worked out very, very well with everybody going crazy with quarterback at the top. I get arguably the best player at the draft. So
JJ Watt retires. Zach Allen, I believe, goes to Denver. So they're down to nobody at this point. So yeah, they very, very much need an edge player. Will Anderson's the guy. The Colts,
Ryan,
Joel, go ahead.
Ryan, you're being generous by saying they need an edge rusher. They need like a full team.
They need everything, but what they really need is they need a player. Think about this. Joel's been giving this advice to me for Dynasty for a while now. They need a player that's still going to be relevant when they have the opportunity to get good again. It's probably not this year, but a guy like Will Anderson's going to be hopefully a plug and play for the next 10 years. So,
okay. 104 Colts, Joel, CJ Stroud need a quarterback. Some people have him as the 101. Some people as the 102. So at this point, I mean, he's just one of the top 3 quarterbacks. And I imagine that's why Stroud was the pick at 4.
Yeah, when we did the mock, I put a meme up of somebody trampling through the streets, and I said that this is the Colts running to the podium to take CJ Stroud. I think he is. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. He's probably the safest quarterback in this draft, given Bryce Young's size concerns. The S2 thing, you hear the things about no one who's ever scored poorly has ever done well. There's a lot to this. Like half the teams don't even subscribe to this thing. So
let me throw a couple of things out about S2 that we talked about on Monday. So S2 is a new test that just came out. I believe it was 2019. So whenever we hear, and I'm the one who shared this evidence with Joel and them on Monday, no one who's ever done poorly has ever played well. Ever is 2019. So it's not the most data in the entire world. But then where S2 gets even more strange is when S2 came into the league, only one team per division got access to it. And they've only now allowed 2 teams per division access, which to me is super strange that the NFL is allowing a company to force competitive advantage or disadvantage on other teams. And then it should be noted, Houston is not one of the 2 teams from their division that gets access to S2.
Why the fuck are we even talking about this then?
It's the new test. Bryce scored 98%. Stroud scored 18%. And Stroud came out today and said he's a football player, not a test taker, which I love, except that's almost word for word what Cardale Jones said when he was coming out of Ohio State. So.
I mean, Rob Gronkowski also said I wasn't at Arizona to study. So
yeah.
There's that.
And Cardale Jones never eviscerated a Georgia defense in a playoff game.
Very fair.
And I think I live in Ohio. I saw I've seen most of Stroud's career here. I didn't have a whole lot of questions with him. That sealed the deal. I was watching. He was the best player on the field in the biggest game in probably several years. I mean, those are the 2 best teams in the league or in college football. They put on just an incredible show, just back and forth between the 2. He played without Marvin Harrison for the better part of the game. He was by far, unquestionably, the best player on the field with Jalen Carter, with Kaylee Ringo, with Marvin Harrison, with Travion Henderson, just loads of legitimate NFL prospects, and he was by far the best player. There's no question in my mind. I don't care about S2. He's the best player in this draft. The Colts are going to, without having to make a trade to get this player, they are going to run circles. And you put him with a Shane Steichen, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not some proponent of S2. I just learned a lot about it this week when all of these test scores came out. I don't know anything about the actual test itself or what teams take it seriously and what teams don't take it seriously.
So the other thing I said on Monday about this is like, we've had the media narrative going about these quarterbacks for many months now. And so we're at the point where people are tired of saying,
that was interesting.
Bryce Young or is it CJ Stroud? It's like, we got to get a little bit more interesting, keep people intrigued. So we'll throw out some Will Levis, we'll throw out some Hendon Hooker. Why not? And it's like, come on. At this time last year, we were thinking Malik Willis could go like number 4 in the draft. Like, and then he ended up going round 3?
Yes, he was like the fourth
And-
pick. Of the third
And you know
round,
what?
right?
Teams missed out, Austin. Teams missed out. Right?
It did.
Clearly, Tennessee has a stud right now.
Well,
Right?
to be honest, Malik Willis shouldn't be in the conversation of any of these quarterbacks because, like, to me, if you, I get the worry and the scare after last year, but to me, you were just like kind of wrong last year, and you shouldn't punish QBs this year with immensely more talent because you had a prior last year. Because I think Matt Waldman even said it that a lot of these QBs that they're comping to whoever, it doesn't even make sense. Like if you think Anthony Richardson is Malik Willis, that makes zero sense because like fundamentally they're different players.
Yeah.
So just wanted to get that out there.
No, I love that.
How about physically they're just different players? How about that?
Not the same player at all. I just the way that the narratives go, like
Oh yeah.
we got to find something to hype up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Two things to wrap it up. Look, I think Stroud is a miracle whip guy. I don't think he uses helmets, right? If his S2 score is 18%, he might even be using great value mayo. Okay. He's clearly not, he clearly doesn't know what the best mayo is out there. All right. No way he's figured out what Hellman's is. He might not even be able to read Hellman's. Okay.
Yeah, that's too
We're
classy.
going a little far here.
Too classy.
Too classy. Hellman's is too classy. And then, yes, you can read my light because it's not dark at 4:30 in North Dakota anymore. So that's big time. Thanks, Gator. All right. Seahawks. Jorge, who is not here, couldn't be with us last minute. He has, and I pray to God that this is a joke pick because the last time the Seahawks took someone from Texas Tech as a defender, he was projected a 4th round pick. So I really hope this is the case, that the Seattle Seahawks is also doing something bad, but I'm pretty sure this is a legit pick from Jorge. But he has Tyree Wilson, edge defender from Texas Tech. Can anybody give me like 10 seconds of information about this man?
Yeah, the man is athletic. He's long. He has crazy burst off the line. The production is a little bit
Pete Carroll, right there.
I'll keep going, man. I'll keep going. I got about 3 more seconds, and I think I just used it up. But 7.5 sacks, a little bit of a smaller production profile from a guy you see as a top 5 pick, but crazy burst off the line. Seattle needs to reinforce the defensive line. Terrible run defense. So high ceiling is the thing you want to associate with them.
Their run defense is dog shit, to put
Terrible.
it lightly. Opposite
the big red flag with Wilson though is the Liz Frank injury that he's coming off of.
Injuries.
Well, yeah,
Both
Oh,
feet.
that's fun.
Plural.
If they can put someone opposite Uchenna Nwosu, though, that can at least take attention away because he was an absolute dog last year. So if they can get somebody to take away attention from him, that's going to be big. To Detroit. Dun, dun, dun. Jalen Carter, interior defensive lineman from Georgia. And my brother says Jalen Carter plus 3,500 to go number 2. So, Michael, you're apparently getting a steal at the 106.
I am.
Pitch on Jalen Carter, who we all know Georgia's defense is just filled with just NFL prospects. So
Yes, it is. And it's a guy that before Chicago traded the pick, we were talking about this guy number 1 overall because he is that talented of a player. You just don't have defensive tackles that can rush the passer as well as Jalen Carter can. 15.5 sacks over the last 2 years, almost entirely from the interior. And when you compare that to Tyree Wilson, that's as many as Tyree Wilson had in the last 2 years as well. We're working from the edge, we're working from inside. That's just a complete difference maker you have in him. And Detroit just doesn't really have a defensive tackle that can do that. Most teams don't. They have Isaiah Buggs, which is a run stuffer. That's it. 17th in sacks per game last year. That was James Houston, Aiden Hutchinson. One they expected to be, the other one they didn't. They need some help right there. I think Jalen Carr's the guy to do it.
Sicoli, I know you didn't make the pick for the Seahawks, but based on everything you just said,
I would have given Jalen Carter to the Seahawks.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's the better fit for what you guys are mentioning. Like Seattle has run issues where Carter's not necessarily a premier run stopper, but what he does is creates enough disruption to let someone else be a run stopper. And with the 3-4 they converted to last year, I feel like Carter's the kind of player they need.
I think he's a better fit in Seattle as well for everything you just said. And it just comes down to need. And if anything, I have more worries about this pick being accurate with Detroit because I worry about them worrying about culture. Because obviously there's the off the field issue. Detroit is a big culture. They fixed it. They might not want to mess with it. I understand that. But Seattle would be such a terrific fit with Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
That's where I do think he ends up.
Well, you have two terrible run defenses picking back to back. Sorry, Jagger. So that makes sense. Go ahead.
To be honest, I think both of these picks make sense. I can't speak for Jorge, but just looking at tendency, I would not be surprised if Pete Carroll would go Tyree Wilson.
That's fair.
And
Oh, for sure.
like he wants to run wave after wave of pass rusher at you. Like he values corner, he values defensive backs and his edge rushers more than anything. And like Sicoli said, right here for both of these teams, regardless of what you think about the run defense in a vacuum, these are two anchor players for your team. And you got to think that they're at the edge of winning their division. It would be slam dunk if this happened. So, and like Jalen Carter gives the Lions, one last thing, Jalen Carter gives the Lions, or any team for that matter, I think defensive front versatility, because yes, like Sicoli gave up what he does in the interior, but you could slide him over to 5 technique and play him there at defensive end, and then you have the ability to have 3-4. Like Carter's the type of player that just transforms the defense.
He's scheme proof. He absolutely is scheme
Exactly.
proof. It's and that's so rare to find in a prospect.
John Kaminsky, Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike.
Oh, is
Those
this
are
their
your
current defensive
3
tackle?
defensive linemen for
That's why I
your
only-
Detroit Lions.
That's why I only say Isaiah Bugs, because it's the only name I know, and most people wouldn't know that name.
Yeah, so you brought up Isaiah Buggs, who did play their nose tackle last year. Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston played the edge, so if you can get somebody in the middle, which opens up Malcolm Rodriguez and Alex Anzalone, who both had very good seasons
They
last
need the
year.
help. They desperately need the help.
Listen, IDP reasons. Listen, if you watched the show last year, you would know Alex Anzalone was a steal, and if you listened, he was a top 10 linebacker last year. So you're welcome. But if he gets Jalen Carter in front of him, that's going to open him up even more, and Alex Anzalone is going to be fucking disgusting. So yes, defensive lineman, interior for them, great pick. All right, now number 7, our first repeat, and what I love about Jagger's picks, because this is Jagger's pick, he drafted like a fantasy football player, but also all of his offensive picks make complete sense for their teams. So it's not like he reached at all. Like they make complete sense, but he was like offense, offense, offense. Whereas Ryan gave the middle finger and said, I'm only drafting defense and one fat guy on the offensive line.
Ryan is an IDP champion.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So
to be
ahead,
fair, it was because I was in the room with all these IDP guys, and the guys that I thought that I'd have value later on. Like when I saw Nolan Smith go at like 113, I almost yeeted my phone in the hot tub. And next, what the fuck? I was like, already? I was like, no way, And then I was like, spoiler alert, didn't mean to spoil that, but I was like pissed. I'm like, that's why I said Jorge is like, you tell he's an IDP guy because he knows what the hell he's doing.
Oh yeah.
So,
but go ahead.
I was like, well, with Will Levis here, I don't know what the Raiders are or what they are doing. I don't even think Will Levis is that great of. I don't even think this is a great pick, but you need a quarterback for the future because, like, you saw, what's his name, Jimmy G's shit-eating grin signing that contract. He was just so happy that he secured the bag one more time. He could give a shit anymore if he plays it down. Like he's like, I'll mentor whoever, like you could get Oscar the Grouchy out here, and I'll teach him the progressions of this offense, whatever. It doesn't matter. So you could get Will Levis, and it might be good, it might be not, but it's definitely a Raiders pick. So I try to channel that bowl cut mindset and get in there.
Love it.
Hey, the Raiders and bad first round picks are just handshakes. So
like sweet and sour, baby.
It's just they go so well together. And what I love here is that Josh McDaniels is essentially trying to replicate what he had in New England. He signs Jimmy Garoppolo. He backs him up with the perennial GOAT, Brian Hoyer. Backs him up with Brian Hoyer. He says, let me get a white tight end, Austin Hooper. And let me go get Jacoby Myers, my slot receiver. But don't worry, because we also have a white slot receiver in Hunter Renfrow. He's basically just recreating 2007 and Devontae Adams as Randy Moss. So tell me he's doing something wrong. You can't. So add Will Levis into the mix. There's your future.
He might still be missing a very important part of that.
Actual NFL players.
Yeah.
A coaching system. A brain.
Defense.
Yeah.
No shit. Yeah.
Entire defense. Short of Max Crosby.
Everyone.
Entire defense.
Everyone not named Max Crosby on that defense. That's Divine Diablo played well last year, but everyone not named Max Crosby on that defense sucks. Chandler Jones isn't bad, but he's also 85 years old. He can't really move anymore.
He's dust.
So
He's dust at this point.
I love it. Okay. To number 8, the Falcons. Austin, your team, you have them taking edge guy from Iowa, Lucas Van Ness. Why you like him?
Well, this was actually a tough pick for the Falcons because similar to the Cardinals, we kind of need everything. Like I could have gone with a tackle here to build the offensive line. I could have gone with a cornerback, but I decided to go Lucas Van Ness because first off, there was only one team worse than us at rushing the passer last year, and that were the Chicago Bears. So not great company. We have been perennially bad at edge for many years, basically since John Abraham left. So I was just looking for the best edge rusher I could find. I decided Nolan Smith was a little bit too much of a dart throw for me at this spot with Van Ness on the board. So went with Lucas Van Ness. The thing I actually really like about him, he is an edge rusher, quote unquote, but he moves around quite a lot. He played inside and outside last year, and so he brings some versatility to the front seven, which we desperately need, particularly with Grady Jarrett getting a little bit older in years, going to be probably retiring soon. And my hope is that we just continue to develop on the edge because I feel decent about the offense right now. I don't feel like we're desperate for more offensive line, but we can't do anything on defense right now, and that's just a huge problem.
So I just want to ask, because I know you're Falcons fan, was there a thought to a corner because they bring in Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, David Onyemata? 3 guys pretty good at rushing the passer. Calais Campbell obviously towards the end of his rope, same with Grady Jarrett. But you have guys that are pretty solid at rushing the passer in a short-term capacity. They're obviously not going to be long-term, but your corners, AJ Terrell, Jeff Okudah, Mike Hughes, not exactly the 85 Bears defense right there.
Don't go after AJ Terrell like that.
I love AJ Terrell, but he gets beat a lot. I like AJ Terrell, but he gets beat a lot deep, but he makes good plays. They brought in Jesse Bates. Richie Grant is fantastic. That part of the secondary is fine, but fucking Jeff Okudah is a pile of shit. And Mike Hughes. Harsh. What do you mean?
Oh, he made strides last year. He had some strides.
Oh my God, yeah, he made strides. He went from like the worst to the second worst.
Oh, the worst from like the 40th worst, maybe.
Yeah. So he's still not starting corner in the NFL. Was picked 3rd overall. Regardless, was there a thought to taking a corner at least? Because I know there's a solid amount of corners that are being hyped up later first round, early second round.
Actually, no. And I think part of what you mentioned is actually kind of is why I took the edge rusher is because we have some of that older veteran talent that we've brought in and they're only going to be there a couple of years. And so I think it's actually a really good opportunity to develop a young edge rusher that can take over the reins and be a culture setter once those players move on. And corner, there's not a great history of drafting first round cornerbacks. Like it can be pretty tough to find solid first round cornerbacks. So it makes me nervous. I'd rather find that in free agency or try and find some guys in later rounds that have some upside.
Yeah. Herm says, thankful this pick was made with a fantasy brain. People are going to be mad when it's not Bijan to Atlanta.
Okay. But I did think Bijan here for a hot second, and it wasn't fantasy brain.
You have to.
Like, let's be honest. Right now, Bijan Robinson is the betting favorite for the number 8th overall pick. Like, yeah. And I honestly, I wouldn't be mad because if you look at the players that go after the 8th spot, I know Bijan is going to have an impact on whatever team he goes to. I feel incredibly comfortable with that. Most of the players after this, there's at least some question about. And so at this point, I'm like, yeah, somebody take Bijan. I'm not going to be mad at you for doing it.
I wasn't going to say anything about this, but you guys keep bringing up good points because you know football. But I'm literally going on a show after this and bringing this up that like Herms actually said it about fantasy brain here that I don't think that the Atlanta goes Bijan. Like at worst, Tyler Algier does the same production, but it's positional value. Edge rushers from this at this level, they're not anywhere in the draft. Or the same, you made a point about corner. Basically, defense drops off dramatically in this draft, whereas you could get a running back in the 4th round that can be adequate. Bijan is a luxury pick, and any team looking like the Falcons, for instance, that like they're looking to win now, they're better off helping their actual area of need and then addressing running back round 2 if you want to get Charbonnet or some shit. Don't blow it your wad now.
Yeah, and they've taken, particularly the Falcons, they've taken a very patient approach to building their team. So I doubt they would do it. I think, again, I think Bijan is talented enough. We could see him go higher than people are expecting because of the positional value, but I would rather than take an edge and continue building in the trenches.
And if they're going to go offense, I think they should go JSN over Bijan. I think that fits.
Not for their style of offense, though.
They're already ruining Kyle Pitts and Drake London. So what are you talking about?
Also,
you want them to ruin 3 elite talents? No.
I'm trying to help the Falcons, not your fantasy team, Joel.
No, I'm fantasy in general. Everyone's fantasy team. They're killing us. No,
so
stop.
Just to put a bow on this for Jagger's point, the top 3 running backs currently on the Falcons roster, a 5th round pick, a former 1st round pick who turned running back.
I say who was a wide receiver.
Who is a wide receiver, kick returner, punt returner, and undrafted free agent. They found pretty good fucking production from their 5th round pick last year.
It's a deep running back class as well. It's an incredibly deep running back class. And they have 4 picks inside the top 115. Or, sorry, not that. 5 picks inside the top 115. So I think they'll wait.
It's easy enough to say that
trade back.
Yeah, they could go any other position. Literally, any other position would be better than running back. Let's just get that out of the way.
I don't think we need to say anything more. That's the end on the Falcons.
Next 2 guys, just be quick, because the Bears need an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
and Ryan said we should take Paris Johnson.
Yep. All I'll throw out there, because it worked out well for me and Josh, was most people do see Skoronski as the best offensive lineman in this draft. But there are the rumors with the short arms. I think he's going to have to move to the interior, and the Bears need a tackle. So this worked out well for Josh and I both.
The Bears need an everything on that offensive line.
And they need a left tackle more than they need anything else. So.
Yeah.
Tackle makes a lot more sense for them, especially after drafting Tevin Jenkins and then moving him inside after drafting him to play tackle. So.
And despite Josh's get Bijan to Philly, he drafts Peter Skoronski.
I thought long and hard about it. I really did. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. I'm starting to come around on Bijan to Philly. I don't know that they would do it at 10. I think if they do, in fact, want him, they'll try to trade back and get him. But Skoronski makes so much sense because of his versatility, right? If they need to swing him at right tackle, God forbid something happens to Lane Johnson, he can handle it. They also have a void at guard with Isaac Samalu leaving for Pittsburgh. He can be a plug and play there. To me, it's all going to boil down to how much Philly believes in last year's 2nd round pick Cam Jurgens, who is a true center, moving into a guard position and how he can hold up there. I thought Van Ness would be the guy, but Austin took him at 8. But I think they'll probably look to those 2 spots before ultimately deciding whether or not Bijan is the guy. All this talk with Howie and how much he loves Bijan, and Bijan, how much he wants to play with Hurts and loves Philly and the culture and everything. It's starting to get me a little excited, and maybe fantasy brain is taking over. I don't know, but damn it, that offense would be fun as hell with AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Bijan Robinson and Jalen Hurts. That's all I got to say.
Older defensive line too, with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham pretty much done in their careers.
Yeah, the one position I know they won't go, I'm fairly convinced they will not take a corner at 10.
I mean, you have Darius Slay. I don't think there's a need.
Yeah, but I mean, like Slay and Bradbury are both over 30 is what I'm getting at. Like, Philly's 1st round picks, they're not drafting for need. They're drafting for 2024. It's the same thing they did last year.
Darius Slay's over 30, and he's still fucking top 3 corner in the NFL. So, okay. Well, speaking of ruining really good talent, Jorge decided to do that by taking Jackson Smith and Jigma to the Texans. So I don't know if Derrick Henry is going to play quarterback but no
I was
one's
gonna
going to get
interrupt.
him the
He had him
football.
going to the Titans. The Texans is a big rumored landing spot, but it's actually the Titans Jorge has him going to.
Did I say Texans? Sorry.
You
I was
did.
saw Titans Texans back to back. Yes, it is the Titans. I recouped with Derrick Henry playing quarterback. I feel like we got that one.
Yeah.
Obviously I don't think anybody disagrees he's the best wide receiver in the draft. So the Titans kind of sucks for fantasy reasons.
Really sucks.
Yeah, at least for this year, because no one's going to be able to get him the football. So
They've already ruined Treylon Burks. I don't need him ruining it.
Not yet.
No.
Still plenty of time.
So
plenty of time to ruin him.
No.
So-
I set myself up for that.
the Titans, much like the Falcons, could use a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A
lot of everything.
There's a couple positions where they don't really need something like interior defensive lineman. Jeffrey Simmons says that on lock. But I mean, they won't take him at 11, but you could argue they need a running back because Derrick Henry might be towards the end of his career with just the wear and tear on his body. There's an argument, but that's like a 4th, 5th round pick later. JSN, obviously they need an actual threat. Treylon Burks hasn't shown he's an actual threat yet. JSN, Ohio State is a pretty damn good track record, at least just looking at last year at the receiver position. It sucks that he'll get, 300 receiving yards and like maybe 2 touchdowns because they're just not going to find the end zone this year through the air.
They really need offensive line too. I mean, that line just collapsed last year. So with all due respect to Jorge and the pick, that seems like an almost automatic tackle spot.
No, JSN, baby. That's the man.
Yeah,
That's
I mean that we kind of brought that up in the group chat, dude. What about linemen? Well, they need playmakers too. Well, if there's no line to protect the quarterback, how the fuck are they going to get the playmakers the football? So,
Fuck
catch
that.
22.
Fuck the fatties. Bring in the skill players. To the Texans, Josh, first cornerback off the board. You have Devin Witherspoon from Illinois, the Fighting Illini. Obviously, they need a corner opposite Derek Stingley. This is the guy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really just a value play at that point. I thought Witherspoon could go as high as 6. I mean, really, any of these corners, just kind of depending on how you rank them between Witherspoon and Gonzalez and Forbes and all these different guys. I feel like everybody has different way of ranking them and kind of what they need with their schemes. But I was praying that JSN would have fallen here. That truly was the guy that I wanted to pair with the quarterback, and then throughout the rest of the draft, they could build the defense. But for me, I thought this was kind of an easy pick. You solidify the back end. You hit a home run with Jalen Petrie last year at safety. Stingley, I thought, played well. Should Sauce Gardner have gone first? Yes, but Stingley played well when he was healthy. He got hurt towards the end of the season. So now you've got kind of bookend corners back there, which can make life a little bit easier as they go through and develop the line to try to get pressure on the opposing quarterbacks.
Yep. 2, not the New York Jets, because they finally fucking made a trade for Aaron Rodgers. The 113 now belongs to the Packers. And Joel, our resident Packers fan, he decides Nolan Smith, edge rusher from Georgia, is the guy. I mean, Packers need some help on the edge. I mean, I feel like they would need help in a lot of areas now, but
they have a lot of vacant rooms. Just to address the trade real quick, the pick swap. I think what it does, like I said, I don't think Tennessee's going to take JSN. I think he's going to be available. I think they will aggressively go after him. This is not only kind of an evaluation year for Jordan Love, it's an evaluation year for Matt LaFleur's offense to go in. And, I've kind of railed for years on Aaron Rodgers for hijacking the offense, but it is on him. It is incumbent on him to produce an offense that's capable of winning without a Hall of Fame quarterback. To do that, you need to have the pieces in place to do that. They don't have a slot receiver. They don't have enough depth in the receiver rooms. I think that's eventually where this pick is going to go. That said, what they did do by kind of stacking themselves in front of New England and the Jets is they put themselves in a position to where if somebody behind them needs a tackle and has an offensive lineman and has a specific one they want, you look at Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Cincinnati, all those teams could want to get up. They're in kind of prime position to make a trade down. So I think they're in a pretty good spot. For this draft, I was picking at 15 when we did the mock. I think Nolan Smith, he doesn't fit their kind of size requirements that they typically go with, but he does fit their athleticism. Gutekunst likes freak athletes. And Smith ran a 40 faster than Saquon Barkley, faster than Justin Jefferson. They need edge rush help with Rashawn Gary. You can't expect him to be back day one from the torn ACL. And he's also a really good run defender because he's so fast. He can kind of slip in between the tackles. He's not a big guy. He's only like 240. But he's just so shifty and so quick. You're not going to get to the edge on him if you're trying to run a stretch play to the edge because he's just faster than the running backs who are going to try and do it. And he's a really disciplined player, which the Packers really need. And they've given up so many big runs because Gary and Preston Smith they get caught inside and they lose contain. He's a really disciplined, really smart player. So I think he would be a really good fit here.
What a middle finger that would be to draft the first round wide receiver in forever after you trade Aaron Rodgers 3 days prior.
On Monday.
Yeah, we talked about that on Monday. I think the first round wide receiver thing is overblown because they've taken a bunch in the second round, high in the second round, right? They took Watson at 34 last year. Jordy Nelson, they traded out of 30 to go down like 6 picks, and they took him early in the second. Greg Jennings was an early second. Devontae Adams was a second. So that's really kind of overblown. But the thing I brought up the other night is for 30 years, you've had 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time at making their receivers better. So you've never needed to get an elite, a Jamar Chase level guy in there because those guys made their receivers better. So they haven't needed to. Now you don't know what you have, and you need all the parts to build a functional offense, and they don't have that right now.
The opposite side of that trade at 115 was Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle from Georgia, goes to the Jets. And smushed in between the 13 and 15. Jagger at 114 picks the Jacoby Myers replacement. Zay Flowers isn't going too far. He's going about 45 minutes south to Foxborough from BC. Why do you like Zay there? New England's a team that could use fucking everything. So
yeah,
why'd you pick Zay?
To be honest, that's just playing the board. Everyone who I have ranked ahead of him, arguably Broderick Jones, I could have taken there. I just think Zay Flowers is much better as far as the positional depth. I think he's probably the last guy I think is a bona fide stud. Everyone else I think are pretty good. I think Zay Flowers is a stud. Devin Witherspoon is a guy that I might have taken here. But to be honest, Josh got every guy that I liked. Like Skoronski, that I actually have Skoronski mocked to the Eagles too. But if he would fall down to the Patriots, I think that's a smash. Jackson Smith and Jigba, no way the Texans and the Packers pass on it. But let's say they make the wrong decision. Yeah. Like
no shot.
I just think, there's no shot. So it's Zay Flowers. To me, it's a slam dunk. It's like you said, I did make a fantasy friendly pick, but what else are you going to do here when your offense is that bad and you need that much help? So.
Well, in this draft, we know we're not going to make any trades and they're going to stay put. In real life, Bill Belichick's going to turn this into 17 middle round picks, and then he'll take his receiver in there. So for our purposes here, love the pick. We all know Bill Belichick. There's no way he's drafting at 14. He's going to trade back. There's no shot. So I hope, we all can hope as a Patriots fan, we can hope. But
the smart thing would be to trade up with the Titans, because the Titans are also in best available mode, in my opinion. Trade up to get your guys so the Titans can get more value and get someone like, say, Broderick Jones or whatever. So
if Bill Belichick trades up, the meteor will crash into Earth tomorrow. So
we're stone cold and beers together, Joe. Right on.
Yeah, let's get fucked up, baby. Because at this point, if Bill Belichick trades up, something is wrong in the world. Something is wrong. The polls have switched positions. Nothing is correct. Okay, to the Commanders, halfway through the draft right now, Mr. Jorge. his Washington Commanders. This was a little surprising to me as I read this. Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama. The reason it's surprising, I'm not denying Brian Branch's skill because it's a safety from Alabama, so I trust that he's probably pretty good at the sport. It was more so that I know Jorge is a big fan of Derek Forrest and Cameron Curl. So that was that. And now to talk about draft capital, Curl's a 7th round pick and Forrest is a 5th round pick. They have zero fucking ties to these guys. Also, neither of them drafted by Ron Rivera. So again, he has no ties to them. But for those non-IDP players, Cameron Curl's pretty fucking good. And so is Derek Forrest when Forrest filled in for Cameron Curl. For Ryan's belt right there, Joe Zolo told him to go pick up Cameron Curl, and I get 1/14 of that belt because Cameron Curl dropped like 30 points in the championship for Ryan. So he's very good. And I find it very interesting that was the spot he chose to go, was safety.
Yeah,
I feel like they could.
Branch isn't really a true safety, though. He's a nickel slot guy. He's going to be a nickel slot in the pros. He's not going to be a back end safety.
Okay, then that makes more sense because I think they need a corner way more than they need a safety. So that makes a lot more sense. That's fine. That's great. Now we're good. They didn't pick up Chase Young's 5th-year option, correct? That was fantastic. Wasted first-round pick right there. Wasted first-round pick. We love that.
Remember when people said they should have taken Tua over Chase Young?
I mean, they're both injured. So
wouldn't they be in the exact same boat there?
Yeah, wouldn't they be in the same boat?
All I know is Miami picked up Tua's option.
All I know is Miami doesn't have their first-round pick this year and lost in the first round.
Well, that was their stupid fault for not believing in Tua. That's all I got to say.
You know what? You know what's incredible is they have 4 first-round picks on their defensive line, and they drafted all of them in 4 consecutive years. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young. They hit on all of them. If Chase Young could stay healthy, it would probably be the best defensive line in the NFL. I don't know if there's competition there. It's pretty fucking good. Okay, here we go. Moving off the defense. To Mike Sicoli's Steelers. He is tired of seeing Arthur Mollett and Levi Wallace play corner for the fucking Steelers and get burnt. You know what else he's tired of? He hasn't even played a down in the Steelers uniform, but he's tired of Patrick Peterson and his hold ass. So he's like, you know what? You know what? Minka Fitzpatrick can't play everywhere in the secondary, so we're going to go and get Joey Porter Jr. because Akello Witherspoon and Trey Norwood aren't the answer behind those guys. Joey Porter Jr., they need a fucking cornerback badly.
It's going to be such a long year again. I mean, even if Joey Porter works out, it's going to be such a long year. But that emphasizes how much they need a corner. I mean, Joey Porter's the storybook pick for the Steelers here. No stranger to getting brothers or siblings, family relations. You know, you got the Watts. You got excuse me, I had someone else, but I can't seem to remember the other Steeler duo. But Joey Porter was on the 2005 Super Bowl Steelers. He's connected all offseason to Pitt. Steelers were 19th in passing yards allowed last year, allowed the 6 more touchdowns to receivers, 17 of them. So, and they lost Cam Sutton in the offseason. So they desperately need some help out wide. Porter's a physical guy. He's good in run support. That's something Mike Tomlin loves. So Joey Porter makes sense to me. I'm not sure how I feel about it as a Steeler fan, but it's a need. It's 100% a need.
I like the pick. I think with the way that division's growing, I think you need to add as much corner help as you want because your goal is to get past the Bengals, and you're not doing that without corners. So.
I mean, even then, the Browns have a pretty good receiver room, in Amari Cooper. Yeah. It's a talented division now. And hell, D-Hop might be a Raven. There's all of a sudden, there's really some of the best. It could be the best receiver room in divisions in the NFL. If D-Hop ends up coming to Baltimore, that's really possible. So they need someone who could run with them. Joey Porter's got the length to do so.
And since the Steelers don't score touchdowns anymore, they really need a defense.
Yeah. Yes. No, we don't do that anymore. We give up on that.
The defense is
Long
honestly
time
pretty solid outside of the corner position. Larry Ogunjobi, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, solid. They go and get Cole Holcomb, who's very good. Alex Highsmith has shown flashes. Landon Roberts is just a run stuffer straight up, but he will be rotated in and out. Keanu Neal and Minkah Fitzpatrick are two. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick, you could argue, is the best safety in the NFL. And Keanu Neal is fantastic as well.
I say Minkah is such
corner.
a compliment to Keanu Neal because Minkah can patrol the backfield like a center fielder and let Keanu play closer to the box, which is so good for their scheme. So.
And Keanu Neal will pop your fucking head off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, he is an absolute. He's an absolute rocket playing safety.
They were destroyed on the ground last year, and they really went out in effort. You know, they both their middle linebackers are run stuffing guys, like you said. They're not pass coverage guys. So
Cole Holcomb can play zone coverage. He cannot play man. He is not fast enough. But he's a run stuffer.
He still gets burnt quite a lot in coverage. He got better at it, but
he's just not very quick. He's a bigger guy. Landon Roberts is a 1970s linebacker. He cannot cover to save his life. So this is the pick. And I mean, obviously, offensive line, they could probably use a little bit of help there too.
If one of the top guys was still there, for Broderick Jones, a Paris Johnson,
you go for him.
Skoronski somehow. Those three would be in contention. Darnell Wright was in contention for this pick too, but I don't know how much. He's going to be so interesting is whether you can play on the right or the left. A lot of people say the right. Steelers don't need a right tackle; they need a left tackle. So we'll see.
From one corner to another. Oh, go ahead, Jagger.
I was going to say the only thing I think I might have taken Christian Gonzalez first, but like schematically, Joey Porter makes sense.
I was going to say, add the name.
100%.
I don't think you're allowed to let
play
Joey Porter go play for anybody else.
Yeah.
They would play the name. From one corner to another. Speaking of Christian Gonzalez, Ryan, you took Christian Gonzalez from Oregon.
All I'm actually going to throw out here is I think this might be a dream come true. And Sicoli and I didn't even talk before with the Lions 2 picks before the draft. If the Lions walk out of this with Jalen Carter and Christian Gonzalez, my goodness.
The media will be all over that.
So
their odds are already way higher than you think they are to win the NFC North. And my goodness, with these two players, these are immediate impact type players. Gonzalez is not your typical like small corner. He's 6'1". Not afraid to tackle. He plays long. He's fast. I love this fit. With the loss of Jeff Okudah, you have a guy now that you can just replace. And you guys have kind of hit on this where the loss of Jeff Okudah.
Was it a loss?
To where a lot of mocks have Lions immediately replacing Jeff Okudah with another top 10 pick. And I feel like they may feel burned by that. Whereas picking a guy like Jalen Carter or an interior defensive lineman and then waiting and letting the draft come to them at corner at 18, I think is just a 3D chess move right there.
So I think cornerback is one of the deepest positions in the entire draft class. You can get a good guy later, like pretty much all the way down to the top of the second. I think there's value.
The Lions went and added 3 guys in their secondary. Emmanuel Mosley, who before he was injured for the 49ers was having a fantastic year.
He was their best corner for a while.
Well, there's not much competition after Emmanuel Mosley in that defensive backfield, but he was having a very good season. They had CJ Gardner-Johnson. If they play him anywhere but safety, they're going to be so disappointed. So they need to play him at safety. And then Cam Sutton from Pittsburgh, who, it's not great, not bad. But
you're hating on all my players today, aren't you? All
100%.
Joe hates on everybody. Don't take it personally.
Mike, I hate on my own team. I don't like anybody on the Patriots.
You remember the Kenny Pickett reaction last year?
Yeah. I don't like anybody on the team I root for, Mike. Okay. I hate everybody. But Tracy Walker, I mean,
most endearing quality.
Yeah. Tracy Walker, Kirby Joseph had a fantastic year last year. I don't know if Tracy Walker gets bumped, but they need to put CJ Gardner-Johnson at safety.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They're going to get torched in the slot. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't know if they're going to move any of their safeties because Tracy Walker and Kirby Joseph are both really good. So I think they're going to play CJ Gardner-Johnson at nickel, and they're going to get toasted in the slot because he cannot play slot. It was proven he cannot play slot for multiple years in the NFL. So I think this is really good because if they can get a guy opposite Emmanuel Mosley, they have 2 lockdown guys, and they can cover the slot with multiple people. and help CJ Gardner-Johnson. If you can get 2 lockdown guys on the outside, you're chilling. I mean, you need a guy to cover Justin Jefferson, who you see twice a year. So
You need a lot of guys to cover.
He is. So some might say he's okay at football.
Yeah.
He's okay.
I heard his 5th-year options picked up.
You heard that? Did you?
30 minutes later, Joe Burrows was as well.
Yeah.
They thought long and hard about that one, Ryan.
That was a tough decision to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. almost breaking the single season record for receiving yards. We had to really contemplate if we should pick up his option. The Bucs, Austin, Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee. Another team that probably outside a receiver needs a little help everywhere too.
Yeah, and they're a team that's interesting because they still have most of the receivers from last year, and they didn't re-sign or extend Mike Evans yet, and so they're an interesting team to look for a potential trade move on draft day if they try and trade away Mike Evans and maybe move up. But the way the board fell, I just loved this pick for them, getting Darnell Wright. Sicoli, you were making the point earlier. The question is if he's going to play on the left side or the right side. Well, Tampa Bay, they still have Tristan Wirfs, and so we don't have to worry about answering that question for Tampa Bay. It's a natural fit. You put Darnell Wright on the right side. The thing that I love about him, last year, Darnell Wright gave up 0 sacks, no sacks, and he played UGA and Alabama.
Is that good?
Let's say in the SEC. In the
SEC, right? And when
Is that good?
It's very good. He went up
It's
against
very good.
It's not
Will
bad.
Anderson.
I was just going to say that's going up against Will Anderson, who had the second most sacks in Alabama history behind Derek Thomas, I think.
I think Will Anderson had 1 pressure in that game against Darnell Wright as well. I
shut
still
him down.
sad from you, Austin.
That's pretty good.
But
That's
it's
pretty good.
No, we're just all excited about it because he's so good.
I mean,
so I love it.
I'm real happy he only gets to see Brian Burns twice a year because the rest of that division's
Yeah, there's
on the
no real
edge.
pass rushers.
No one really needs to block except Brian Burns, and I'm pretty sure Burns comes off the left side, so that's all worse.
As a Falcons fan, I'm going to be really sad if this happens, but hey, it would be great.
Austin,
for the Bucs.
Well,
weren't
to be
sacking the
fair,
quarterback
though-
anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, I was just going to say, though, he mocked Lucas Van Ness there, so there's a natural rivalry for their next 5 years. So.
Yeah, well, I
There you
know
go.
who I'm voting on in that.
Ryan, that's the rivalry that sells tickets. Lucas
Exactly.
Van Ness against Darnell Wright. That's the posters for the
Print 'em
Bucs
up.
Falcons
Yep.
game.
They're going to be
Yeah.
on the season ticket.
Forget
It's better
Desmond
than
Ritter and
Desmond-
Kyle
yeah.
Trask. It's Lucas Van Ness and Darnell Wright.
I love it.
See the
Josh,
NBC
I
promo now.
Right
fully
after
expect
Tyler
that to be a
Algier.
headline of an article, Josh.
When this happens.
When this happens, yes. All right, into the 20s. Seattle Seahawks, second pick of the first round. Mr. Sicoli, Kalijah Cansey, interior defensive lineman, Pitt.
I like this guy. I really, really like this
I
guy.
hope so. You drafted him.
Yeah,
So.
I did. Yeah. So we talked about at the top about how bad the Seattle line is. So we're having him double up here. Have Tyree Wilson on the edge. Have Kalijah Cansey work inside. 2022 ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He just has incredible burst right up the middle. He's a little bit undersized for traditional defensive tackle, but we've already talked about how Pete Carroll likes his athletic guys. He gets 2 of them in this first round. He's got such an incredible twitch. He'll get double teamed and he'll jump right off that first guy, do a swim move, and get right through to the quarterback. So, big fan of Kalijah Cansey. I think he's going to be great wherever he goes. I'm hoping he gets a good shot.
People need to chill on the Aaron Donald comparisons.
Yeah, they do. It's too
ASAP.
easy. Undersized out of Pitt, and that's really it.
That's literally it.
That's
No,
literally it.
that's Aaron Donald. He's literally Aaron Donald.
Well, they have. To be fair, they have the same athletic measurables, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
Listen. Was T. Higgins the exact same size as AJ Green when he came out? Yes. So T. Higgins is literally AJ Green. That lived up to it. So Kalijah Cansey obviously is Aaron Donald.
Which is a steal then this late.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I won't.
Well, you said that T. Higgins has lived up to AJ Green, and you're wrong. So
I mean, T. Higgins is pretty fucking good when he's in T. Higgins is pretty good when he's in the game.
AJ Green
I
was
don't
a
think-
lot better than pretty good.
Yeah. And when I say pretty good, I mean the same question to Austin. Is that good if he only allowed one pressure against Will Anderson? That's what I'm saying. T. Higgins is pretty damn good. You are talking to a giant AJ Green fan
I was
here.
going to say, I don't know how you're making this comp. I feel like it's not close.
Well, because I had said from the beginning that they literally were the exact same
you've kind of
human
been
being.
making this comp forever, so you have to stick with your.
They're the exact same human.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's like I feel like it's still kind of an apples to oranges, at least situationally, because AJ Green never had a number 2.
Yeah.
T. Higgins was kind of forced to be a number 2 because Jamar Chase.
AJ Green was never the number 2.
That's
you said he never had a number 2, so T. Higgins is the number 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also,
I mean, even
he-
his first year as the wide receiver 1, he was great.
You know what? I will say AJ Green better because he had fucking Andy Dalton throwing him the football. There you go. Not Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Big difference in quarterback and not playing under Marvin Lewis as well.
Yes, true.
Oh my God.
Awful. Terrible. Okay. All right. Back on the receiver train, baby. This is this is my favorite guy after JSN.
Yeah, this is the pick I think fantasy football wants and kind of needs to have.
I don't think it pays off this year. I think it pays off next year. Jordan Addison to the Chargers out of USC, formerly Pitt. Jagger. I think a lot of people like Jordan Addison here, but why do you like him?
To be honest, I hate this pick. Like,
okay, good. Fantastic. All right. My boy Keenan Allen lives another day.
Yeah, I made this pick and I fucking hate it because I felt backed into a corner because I don't think that I think Jordan Addison is pretty good. And I think the Chargers need something better than pretty good right now.
Is he AJ Green pretty good or T. Higgins pretty good?
He's Robert Woods pretty good because they both came out of USC. So.
Oh my God! Don't start this shit again, Joe. Like keep your negativity to yourself.
He is literally, guys. He is Michael Pittman. I don't know if you know who that is, but he is Michael Pittman. They both came out.
Is he
USC.
Drake London too? Is he Drake London?
He is Drake London, Michael Pittman, and Robert Woods roped into one. And if you put him at quarterback, he's also Matt Leinart. So when you think about it, sprinkle with a little bit of Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. They both came out of USC.
To bring it back down to reality, I think that Jordan Addison can be a high-end wide receiver too, and they need a quality downfield threat or a guy that can consistently get open. And I have questions that Jordan Addison, if he can do that. To be honest, I think he plays small. I'm not talking about the measurables or anything like that because obviously I don't care about that because I chose Zay Flowers to the Patriots. But he plays small. I especially for today's NFL, timing's everything. You see this guy get bumped, it knocks him almost 5 yards off his route, and that matters in the NFL. And this is me being nitpicky, and I'd almost rather make everyone upset if Kalijah Cansey would fall there or Joey Porter Jr. would fall there. I would totally pick that because I think the Chargers are pretty bad defensively. And granted, a lot of people hate first-round interior linebackers, and this isn't a great group. But if there was someone that I thought was remotely good like last year, they'd have to, because it's so bad, regardless of what you think of receiver. So that's why I hate the pick. I know the fantasy community, they're going to, they're going to get a big chub about this, but as a GM of the NFL, you're unhappy making this pick.
So I saw somebody talk about, there was an interview, obviously anonymous scout, whatever. They were talking about how they only had 15 players in this upcoming draft with first round grades. He's like, that's how you know this class fucking sucks. I'm like, damn, that's literally half these picks that shouldn't be made. I think you're going to see a lot of movement in the back half of this first round.
Yeah. That's the reality I'm at. I almost wanted to go Bijan, but again, to me,
I've seen that one quite a bit as well with the turmoil around Eckler.
Yeah, exactly. But you still have Eckler on your roster, so you can't really make that luxury pick when you have holes
then
everywhere
you take
else.
His value.
Exactly.
So I just want to ask the general populace here, because obviously Keenan Allen's at near the end of his career, right? So this would be maybe not for this year, but for following years. But for this, like, just no one believe in Josh Palmer. Am I the only guy that really likes Josh Palmer? Because
Yes,
you are. Yeah.
No, I like
fucking
Palmer.
why?
Palmer, I like. Josh, I like. Or Joe, I like Josh Palmer as well.
Like, why? He showed he could literally be a 1 in the offense.
Did he?
I disagree. I think he showed that he could be a competent replacement, but he wasn't a 1. He had every opportunity to take over that offense and be a stud. He had every opportunity, and that never happened. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm saying he's Jordan Addison, where he's pretty good. Like, to be honest, I think that they are. No, like, I think like they already have a. So now with Josh Palmer and Jordan Addison, they would have 2 old guys and some 2 pretty good guys. So next year we're playing the same game. So
yeah, but Justin Herbert is so good he can make 2 pretty good guys great, right? Like, isn't
tell
that
my
kind of
fantasy
like
rosters,
how
which
being a great quarterback works?
I guess, but they didn't
Counterpoint.
Win. Picking...
Counterpoint on Jordan Addison. He single-handedly got Kenny Pickett turned into a first-round quarterback. He's the greatest receiver of all time.
Tell him he's wrong. Tell him he's wrong.
Name one other receiver who could have gotten Kenny Pickett turned into a first-round quarterback.
I'll name like 5. I'll name 5. Right now, Justin Jefferson, the entire LSU roster, the championship.
Every LSU receiver ever.
Yeah, every Ohio State receiver.
Jordan Addison did it. Everyone else is theoretical. Jordan Addison did it. It happened.
True.
I'm muting myself or I'll get crazy. I'm going to mute myself before I get crazy.
Jordan Addison made Caleb.
Well, hold on. Question. Who made Zach Wilson the 2nd overall pick? Who did that?
The offensive line.
Mel Kiper.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Love it. Okay. I like Josh Palmer. So I just you know what? I like Josh Palmer. Just want to throw that out there. Okay, now to the man that everyone wants to see go to every team ever. Austin, you have Bijan Robinson from the University of Texas going to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I'm just like, F the analytics. Like, this is the point where I'm with you, Zolo. I'm like, I'm tired of it. He's an incredible player. He is ranked 8th on people. He's ranked in the top 10 on people's big board. At some point, you just got to take the best player on the board. And when I look at the Ravens depth chart, I'm like, so it's not bad.
Time out here. Time out here. Why do the Ravens get the good guys that fall to them every fucking draft?
It literally happens every year.
Every year. They're like, oh, look, this guy fell into our lap. Maybe we don't need him, but he's here.
Yeah.
So we should take him.
Every year.
How does that happen?
You draft for value, man. And
they nail it every year.
Yeah, Philadelphia's like that. That's why I think like the Skoronski pick nailed it. You think, well, they have few rosters. It's like you said, like they're drafting for 24, man. Like you got to think all these defensive holes they have. Are they really holes? Or are they ready to just plug in Nakobe Dean and like those other guys that they drafted? Let's
go, baby. I love me some Nakobe Dean.
They made the playoffs last year largely because of their defense. So. And if you look at their offense, it was all injuries. Lamar was out. Mark Andrews missed time. J.K. Dobbins was coming
Drake
back.
lead the team in rushing.
Yeah. Gus Edwards missed time. Rashad
Tyler
Bateman was
a Pro Bowl
hurt.
quarterback, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, never forget it.
So at this point, I'm like, throw in Bijan. That's going to be help for Lamar. Like,
I love it. It's a great pick.
Yeah, me and Austin talked a lot about this during the draft on Monday, and he made the same points there, and I thought it was just a really great pick. My question for the group is, around this time, when do we think someone trades up for Bijan? Because like Austin said, he's the 8th rated prospect in this draft, and as Josh just said, just said, there are 16 guys with a round 1 grade. I imagine he's one of them. I read 18 earlier this week. So at some point, some team's going to be like, I don't want any of these 2nd round picks. Let me move up and get this running back. And we all know it's Dallas that I'm talking about. So like, when does it happen, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I think
that's like what Josh said is there's going to be a lot of movement.
How everybody started talking at once.
You talk about Bijan, you get the group excited. So.
I think Atlanta or Vegas.
You think it's
Jerry
that
Jones-
high?
I could definitely see Vegas with
Jerry
Josh
Jones
Jacobs being
wants
on
to
the
whip
field.
out his wiener on the table. And say, I'm going to go get my guy. Whatever is left of it, he wants to whip it out there, and he's going to go into the top 10 and take Bijan.
Basically, every team but the Giants here, I think, have every incentive, and the Jaguars probably have every incentive to trade up and get Bijan. So you want to talk about who and when? It's probably 10 picks ago, and all these guys down here right now. That like the Saints, I don't know what the fuck that team is. They think they can win.
Facts.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is older and likely not going to play much next year.
Likely in jail.
Yeah. So like they could get it. The Eagles are the Eagles. They can do whatever they want, and it's a good pick because they draft smart and they can just do best available. The Chiefs have every incentive. If you believe in Isaiah Pacheco, I have news for you. Like almost anyone,
He runs with his eyes closed. He has no vision.
He runs hard that way though. But
I'm glad he runs hard into the red jersey that's directly in front of him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
it's high knees
bad.
like this and not looking. So I mean, that's
He actually
this is the
covers
range.
his head like this when he runs too. It's unbelievable.
I think one of the things coming back to Bijan, like everybody is like, oh, running back. Don't take a running back too early. But Bijan is more than just a running back. If you look at what he did in college, he was lining up in the slot. He was lining up out wide as a receiver. He is a positionless player. He's a weapon. And that is what most of these teams drafting in the first half of the first round need is they need weapons. We saw Christian McCaffrey get traded for like 3 or 4 picks last year because he can literally play quarterback for you.
Dog.
And he's a running back. So I think this whole idea of like, oh, he's a running back, so he just inherently has certain value is wrong when it comes to a player like Bijan.
I love that take.
Dog.
Yeah.
All right, 123. The Vikings. You know who they're going to take, Joel? You know who they're going to take? Hooker.
Who's
I
that?
barely know her. Mr. Hendon, quarterback out of Tennessee. You want to know why? Kirk Cousins still isn't the fucking answer. Still not.
I loved this pick.
So-
I almost stirred the pot and took Hendon Hooker for Baltimore just to have the Lamar Jackson Hendon Hooker drama, but I decided not to.
Don't do that. Don't do that to us.
They
We've
already
already had
have,
enough chaos on this draft.
and they already have a Pro Bowl backup, Austin.
Yeah, dummy.
Who free
Yeah.
agent.
That is true. He is.
Can you imagine looking back in 20 years? Like, right, you have, obviously, Ryan, you have a kid. But like, Ryan, you're
What?
older. You have a kid, Donovan. You have a child. You have a child. I was just say when we have kids, but I'm like, well, me and Michael and Austin are like the only ones that, it maybe Jagger and like in the future, maybe like in 20 years, Ryan, you already have a child. Yeah.
do.
Jagger's like, no, fuck no.
I do, in fact, have a child.
Ryan, just imagine Donovan's 31, right?
All right.
And you look back at the 2022 Pro Bowl, and you're like, holy shit. Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, and Tyler Huntley. And you say, wow, why did we even have this fucking event?
At 31, I think it's feasible. I may even have grandchildren. And I just imagine bouncing little Tyler Huntley on my knee and showing him
that you're named after a Pro Bowl quarterback.
name after showing him that quarterback contest where nobody can hit a fucking target.
It's funny because Tyler Huntley's actually a pretty white name. So
Right?
Such a white name.
My son's named Donovan, and he's a pretty white kid. So-
Yeah. Breaking down race barriers.
What we do.
Yeah, that's
we
what
have
do.
fun here.
We have fun here.
That we do.
Hey,
So anyways, and then Hooker.
and then Hooker. I
What the fuck were we talking about?
mean, I don't know. You said Pro Bowl quarterback.
Go for it, Joel.
Yeah, so when I saw I had the Vikings, I said I was going to consult with my wife because she is a Viking fan, as you may be able to see from the flag.
And she said, fuck Kirk Cousins.
She said fuck Kirk Cousins about
Hell
1,000
yeah.
times that I can
Yep.
remember specifically. I know you guys had Chrissy Freud on several weeks ago, and she
Yeah.
loves Hendon Hooker.
Loves him.
I'm going to say I respectfully disagree. I don't see it, but
Well, Joel,
there
I
are
hate to
people
break
who
it to you.
do.
You're
There
wrong.
are people who do, and yeah, no, it could be.
break it to you. You're wrong.
I liked Malik Willis last year, so it is what it is. But they very smartly did not extend Kirk Cousins' contract. It looks like they're just going to eat his salary this year and move on, which is absolutely the right thing to do. And as a Packer fan, I wish they would not do that, but looks like they're going to. So yeah, they need a plan. They need to know where they're going next year. And Hooker is a guy who a lot of people think should be a first round quarterback. So that's the pick.
I
To
don't
be honest,
hate it.
I was gonna say, to be honest, his ceiling I think is Kirk Cousins, who can run a little bit. So, that's something.
Well, then the Vikings are drafting the perfect guy.
I mean, he is going to be a guy
Easy
who
transition,
needs a year to sit. Right? He can't play. Besides the knee injury, he played in a very simplified offense, very similar to Malik Willis. He played in a one ski or a one read half the field offense. So he's going to need to learn to read.
If he lands in Minnesota, his only read is Justin Jefferson. Like, let's be honest here.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that should be the only read on every play.
Thank you.
The whole fucking defense could be on him, and you're like, okay, what are you going to do about it?
The other thing about Hendon Hooker is he could be a good player to bring in and teach the system and have as an older model for a future quarterback for the Vikings. Like, people love Hooker as a locker room guy as well. You saw him at the Senior Bowl. He couldn't play because of his ACL injury, but he was involved the entire time, helping other players, getting to know the coaches, and just being that good presence. And so I think just having him in the locker room is a positive for any team.
Yeah.
He is old enough to be Trey Lance's grandpa, but that's a discussion for another day.
So was Brandon Whedon. He was drafted 26. So
Brandon Whedon probably saw a war back in the day. Like
Brandon Whedon remembers Nam.
Exactly. Like,
dude,
when they just say the war, that's how old he is.
Yeah, that's Brandon Whedon's
pick
rhyme.
one. Just pick one.
Yeah.
Revolutionary World War II.
Yeah.
Iraq. Pick one. He's that old. Doesn't matter. Okay. The Jaguars at 24. Ryan, this is the perfect pick, because I just look at their depth chart. Wow, is their secondary disgustingly awful.
It's rough.
Deontay Banks from Maryland.
He fits a lot of what they're doing. We don't need to talk a lot about defense. This is a team with not a lot of holes. They're the opposite of what we've been talking about, but they need to shore up the secondary. They converted to a 3-4 last year. That lends itself to a lot of cover 3. Deontay Banks is a perfect cover 3 corner. He's going to play great on the outside. I think it's a great pick.
So just for the record, if Jacksonville gets a secondary, they could very well be in the AFC Championship easily.
Yeah.
Their corners consist of Tyson Campbell, who isn't awful, but he's not great. Darius Williams, who was toast city with the Rams, and Trey Herndon, who vies for arguably the worst corner in the NFL, and Tavon Campbell, who was the joke of the Chargers a couple of years ago. So they don't have anybody, but the rest of their defense is pretty solid. Rayshawn Jenkins, Andre Sisco, Foyes Adoluakun, dog. And then it doesn't hurt that Calvin Ridley is now your wide receiver 1. So hopefully he comes back pretty well. Okay.
Well, and they cut Shaquille Griffin, and like, he wasn't great, but like, they needed help at corner. That just tells you this is going to be a priority for them. So.
Yeah.
He's easily best player available for their needs.
Yeah.
Like not a running back.
Definitely. The Giants, Jorge picked Josh Downs, wide receiver out of UNC. If you have watched even just a second of Giants football, you may realize that they have no wide receivers. But they're going to go with the 2 tight end set of Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger, flanked with Isaiah Hodgins and Paris Campbell. What a joke that is. So they definitely need a receiver. He picks Josh Downs out of UNC.
Now, here's my only issue. Isn't Downs kind of like a slot guy as well?
He'll be another slot guy.
All they have,
all slot offense.
Hey,
I told Jorge I was going to give him a hard time, and obviously he has a lot going on in life, so I'm not going to like lay in on him here. But I was shocked Quentin Johnston did not go with any of these picks. And I feel like the Giants make sense.
Spoiler alert. God, Ryan. Jeez.
Was he next?
Asshole.
But I feel like the Giants make sense for Johnston because he's big, and that's what they don't have right now. And so, like, I understand Jorge does not like Johnston as a prospect, and he has every right not to. I just cannot see if they take another sub 5'11" wide receiver. Like, what the hell, man?
You're telling me that Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamison Crowder, Sterling Shepard, Khalil Pimpton, they can't play outside?
Paris Campbell.
Isaiah Hodgins.
Is he small too?
No, he's a big boy.
He's tall but skinny.
No,
I was going to say, you
Hodgins
thought he was
is big.
tall. It's
Hodgins just isn't very good. He's just like,
that's the issue.
at
He
best.
was the right man. He was the right man in the right situation last year, but
Yeah.
like you can't just
Guys.
keep relying on that.
Guys, it's fine. Darren Waller will play outside. Daniel Bellinger will play opposite him outside, and everyone else plays in the slot. Jamison Crowder's your inline blocking tight end for the season.
Obviously.
Obviously. What's wrong with that?
You mean through the 3 games that he actually plays?
Yeah,
Well,
and then
what I
and
think
then
they're
the
going
other-
with
the
what
other
I think
set-
they're going with
14
here
will
is
be
they're going to
Darius
do
Slayton.
they're going to do like relief pitching where they're not going to let Crowder, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Sterling
Campbell.
Shepard play at the same time. So like when one goes down, you bring the next one until he goes down. Like they all have to be protected.
can we put Paris Campbell in that sentence as well? They have 4 highly injury prone wide
I
receivers.
actually just read an article today that they are likely, as it stands, to move Campbell to the outside. And that's not even something we've seen him do a lot of in his time in the NFL. So it's a rough situation there. And again, no offense to Jorge, but I think this just this is a wreck on a wreck. It's no good.
Here you slander priority waiver
Look,
wire.
he's
ad
a
Paris
Commanders
Campbell.
fan. There's a reason he went Josh Downs with this.
Oh, he's sabotaging them.
Sabotage. He doesn't need to sabotage. They
No,
do
he
it
doesn't.
themselves.
They do that well
You
enough on
see
the
the
road.
amount of money they paid
Daniel Jones.
Jones? They've
Yeah.
sabotaged already.
All right. To the Cowboys. Josh thought, you know what? Cole Kmet wasn't a fluke. Notre Dame still can't produce good tight ends. You know that was his thought process. You know what? Cole Kmet, not too bad of a year, right? So he's like, you know what? We're gonna go with Mr. Halloween, Michael Mayer. I know that's probably not how you say his last name. It's
No,
probably Michael
no.
Mayer, but it's close
Certainly
enough,
Mayer.
and it was funny. The tight end out of
Reminder.
Notre Dame.
He read the show sheet 5 minutes before we started.
Yep. Yeah, I make jokes on the spot. Nothing came prepared. I saw tight end Notre Dame. I'm like, oh my God, they're dog shit.
No, for everything that Cole Kmet isn't, Michael Mayer is. This guy's
Is he,
an
though?
absolute stud. He's essentially a Jason Witten clone. If Jerry Jones doesn't make a move up to get Bijan Robinson, which I do believe he will probably try to do, we've been talking about Bijan to Dallas on this show in particular for weeks now, months, honestly. But Bijan obviously went 4 picks prior, so I think this is going to be the next best thing. Again, we talked about this, I believe it was last week on the tight end show. I don't know that McCarthy is going to prioritize getting a tight end involved, but I don't think you make a tight end selection here with the assumption that you're going to use him in 2023, because I don't believe Mike McCarthy is going to be the head coach in 2024. So
Probably.
he's setting up to build this team for the next head coach that will utilize the next Jason Witten. So,
Yeah, that's
wow.
how coaches think.
That's how GMs think. Get it right, Ryan.
That's not how Jerry Jones thinks. So
This is the unsexiest pick you've made, Josh. It makes sense.
Yeah, you're a
You
terrible
know,
person, Josh.
it makes
No,
sense.
it's
but
I mean,
fuck
look,
you.
at the end of the first round, you're pulling straws at this point. And
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I
it's
still
not
think
good.
it's-
That you
It-
pulled the
like-
shortest straw you could.
I gave myself the Cowboys.
I'm not going to go that far.
Fly,
Mayer
okay?
and a guy we're going to talk about in 2 seconds are first round tight ends.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
It's been 25 picks and not a single tight end is gone. There are
Yeah.
plenty of mock drafts that have tight ends going at pick 13, 14, or 15.
I'll
Yeah.
throw out. I knocked out my mock today. I actually think Dalton Kincaid goes to Washington in the teens. Like I think he goes before.
Could
that.
very well happen.
So,
Absolutely, it could.
I told y'all I almost took a tight end for Baltimore because I think having 2 big tight ends in that offense would be incredible.
And then we all destroyed you in the group chat, and thank God you didn't do it on the show.
All I know is he's a tight end from Notre Dame, and just like Kalijah
That's all Joe needs to know about him.
Yeah, just like Kalijah Cansey is Aaron Donald, Michael Mayer is Cole Kmet. So that's all I need to know in the situation. That's all I need to know. The Bills, 127. Austin, you have Drew Sanders, the linebacker out of Arkansas, going to Buffalo. Why'd you put him there?
Yeah, well, first off, because Michael Mayer wasn't there, I would have loved to have had a nice tight end next to Dawson Knox. But no, for Buffalo, I mean, they're at a place where they really need to build some depth. They traded away Tremaine Edmonds last year. And then Matt Milano, he's getting older. And so they really need to kind of create a succession plan at linebacker. This linebacker class is not great in general, but I think Drew Sanders is the best linebacker you have on the option. I'm fine taking him towards the back end of the first round. And the thing about him from the tape is he can do everything. He can put pressure on the quarterback. He can run protect. There's one play he has against Bryce Young where he sacked Bryce Young. That is one of his most athletic plays because it's Bryce Young outside of the quarterback, outside of the pocket. And you've got him against Drew Sanders one-on-one, and Sanders gets him down. Forces him to actually fumble out of bounds. So this dude's athletic, he's good, and he's able to drop back and defend the pass. He's really good at reading routes and playing zone coverage. So I think he can do a little bit of everything, and he creates a good succession plan for the Buffalo Bills at linebacker.
I mean, they need someone to start next to, they don't have someone next to Matt Milano right now. They have Terrell Bernard and somebody that they drafted on day 3 last year who played like 8 snaps or like 30, start one game.
They got AJ Klein, Tyrell Dodson. They don't really have anybody. They run a 5-2-5, so I don't know if they're gonna or 4-2-5. Sorry, my math was off there. I don't know if they're gonna.
You heard it here
they're
first.
very much.
The Bills are running 12 guys every fucking time.
Yeah, it's incredible. They run 12 guys and can't win a fucking playoff game. 4-2-5. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milano 2017 was his draft year, so he is getting up there in age, especially for a guy who's a heavy hitter. I mean, there isn't really too many other glaring holes on the team. So my thing, though, that they might do is they might pull, if Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are healthy all season, they might pull Taylor Rapp. And if DeMar Hamlin comes back healthy, obviously, and he's all good. But they'll at least pull Taylor Rapp probably into the box, and he might actually play a heavy linebacker role because he's a heavy hitter in there too. They got him from LA, and he's a great safety.
That would make sense. Any thoughts for Quentin Johnson here?
No.
Any thoughts?
No.
I like Marvin Mims better, but Quentin Johnston would make sense too. Like that, I was gonna say that at Austin's pick, I like it for the most part. Like to me, this right here, we show the lack of depth in this draft class because afterwards, every pick kind of feels shitty for a first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
And only other one I might put here is Marvin Mims. So actually Miles Murphy, but we'll get to that.
I like that. I did think about a player like Marvin Mims because they need a slot receiver. That's their main hole on offense, and so. I feel like Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, they can hold down the fort outside. So Mims would be a good pick. I think there are enough slot options later on that they could potentially get in the second round that I could see them waiting and getting a more elite defensive player with this pick.
Sicoli to the Bengals. Jahmyr Gibbs running back. I mean, Joe Mixon might not be in a Bengals uniform. He might be in a different white and black uniform. So is that just the replacement there?
That's the main thought, but I'm going to keep in mind. First of all, I'd say maybe it's more of an orange jumpsuit, stay in the orange. But
I was going to say, he's going orange.
It's both.
White.
It's both. You could do it both ways.
Sure. Maybe it's inside out.
Both jokes hit. Both jokes hit.
But that is more or less the thinking here is Joe Mixon's legal situation. Even before that, there's been reports of them letting him go based on cap reasons, him not taking a pay cut. There's a million reasons for him not to be a Bengal on the roster in week 1. But even if he is, Gibbs is an amazing compliment.
Even if he is, exactly.
Yeah, even if he is, Gibbs is a terrific receiver. He can play on third downs. They used Samaje Perine a decent amount in the second half of the year. And what we saw this year, we know Zach Taylor likes to run a balanced offense. They were 20th in pass attempts in their Super Bowl season, 14th the year before, and they were 6th last year I think that's going to balance out a bit more. That means I think they're going to reinforce the run game. They add another tackle to help the entire offense. I think that, it's a great fantasy location as well. I think Gibbs is a great fit for what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't see any big glaring needs outside of the offensive line. Obviously, they've had just consistent issues there.
Safety would be considering if Brian Branch was here for me.
Yeah, but they took the safeties high last year.
They did.
Literally in anticipation for Jesse Bates leaving.
Yeah, they knew he was going to leave. They have Dax Hill. And Nick Scott from the Rams is solid. But behind Mixon is Travion Williams and Chris Evans.
Yeah. Because they let Samaje Perine walk.
Yeah. Those are the only running backs they have on the roster. So there's nobody back there. They're pretty good almost everywhere else in the field except for the offensive line. That's, not the greatest. But when you're sitting there with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, that's a not too bad receiving trio, to say the least. And Trent Irwin, dog, as the fourth guy.
Great hair.
And Kwame Lassiter II. What a name. What a name. He better make the team. That's awesome. Okay. 129. Saints. Jagger, you just said you said the Saints are a fucking enigma. Who knows?
It makes sense to me. They have a glaring need at tight end. I feel like before they got the medical news, Foster Moreau was going to be their guy. Right now, Dalton Kincaid can slot in and be their second receiver, essentially behind Olave, and really dominate targets all over the middle of the field. And kind of like Ryan said earlier, there's been 3 tight ends mocked in the first round, and the fact that we're taking them this late is probably too low for some teams, considering how weak the draft class is. So this is one of the best value picks for him, because like Dalton Kincaid is more than just a fall down tight end. He can run routes and get open at all 3 levels. He can be flexed out wide or in the slot. Not a great blocker, but I don't think they really need that. They need to give Derek Carr as much possible help as he can get, because he's not very good. And again, they think they can win. So I don't know.
But what if I told you tight end Taysom Hill is on the roster as well? Does that change?
Why is he in the NFL? Like he's kind of not good at a lot of things, but
I have one good week every year and fuck up fantasy managers for the rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tight end Taysom Hill, smartly listed on our lads as the 3rd tight end behind Adam Troutman and Juwan Johnson. So I did say when Carr went there and they re-signed Juwan Johnson, I thought Juwan Johnson would have a really good year, because obviously Carr likes tight ends. So if Kincaid goes there, that could be a very good rookie season for him. Yeah. And there's who popped. Hi, Faith. Why did you pop up your own comment? You popped up your own comment. Okay.
That might have been me. I was moving my mouse around.
To add into that too, who the hell is going to cover Kincaid in that division?
No, they don't really have a legit number 2 wide receiver.
Okuda.
So
Jeff fucking
you run
Okuda.
Olave with Kincaid and Juwan Johnson. Like, you get a couple bigger receivers there in the middle of the field, you could have some fun with that offense.
Oh, there's some big
You don't
boys.
you don't have to defend Kincaid if you just sack Derek Carr. But dude, take some
One
sacks.
time.
Who are you rushing the passer with in Atlanta is my question.
Lucas Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness,
obviously.
We covered this.
Sorry, my bad, guys. My bad,
Hosting a
guys.
show, not even fucking paying attention. Jeez.
When do I ever pay attention? Why would I pay attention? That's not my job description. Okay, Eagles, final 2 picks.
I think
Josh,
that's the definition of a show host.
No. Shut up, Austin. No. Miles Murphy, edge rusher, Clemson. Jagger said something about Miles Murphy, but Josh, before I go to Jagger, why do you like Miles?
For me, this is just a value pick.
I was just going to say, I've seen him go in the top 20.
I've seen Murphy go as high as there were some early mocks, like right when the season ended, that he was being talked about as like a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's way falling into the 2nd round. And I'm just like, this screams like Eagles value pick to me. Like, I'm
Older
like,
defensive line.
I did consider Gibbs when we initially did this, and then Sicoli was like, "Hey, I want to change my Bengals pick like 4 hours ago." So I'm like, "All right, yeah, whatever."
dick.
But
Me on blast.
I really did, simply because, again, just add another playmaker. Why the fuck not? And we've talked about this. This is a really it's top heavy, and then after that, it really falls off. Although there is really good depth at quite a few positions, but you're just kind of getting into these in the picks here in this first round that you could see a lot of teams bailing because some team falls in love. Maybe that, that 16th guy in their first round is up there. And that could very easily be a spot here with the Eagles. Maybe somebody's trying to move up if, maybe if Hooker falls or somebody has a higher grade on a corner or something along those lines. But I mean, we know the need for edge rushers, right? They lost, They brought in Cox, obviously. They re-signed him, but they lost Hargrave. Derek Barnett's older, coming off an injury. Well, not really older. He's just ineffective. But I know there's a defensive end they lost, and I'm blanking on the name right now. But they need to add pieces on that defensive line. This is how the Philly line thrives. And so keep building through the trenches. They get the offensive lineman with the first pick. They get the defensive lineman with the second pick.
Yeah, best available.
Yeah.
If there is one team that could trade out because a team wants to trade up and get their guy and potentially give the 50-year option,
it's Philly, 100%.
It's probably Philly, because looking at the Bills need help, Bengals need help, Saints need everything, and then the Chiefs, which we'll get to in a second, probably could use a real wide receiver. So the Eagles don't exactly need to draft here. So they could trade out, get some picks, and somebody tries to go up and get their guy and get that 50-year option out of them for the first-round pick. To end the show for the Chiefs, Jorge chose Marvin Mims, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. I feel like this is just – I feel like everyone wants the Chiefs to take a receiver. I don't know if they will take a receiver because there's, again, guys that just make anybody good. Patrick Mahomes has pretty much made anybody around him pretty good. So you can kind of get away with not drafting a receiver here.
The cupboard is as bare as it's ever been.
There's no one there. It is Travis Kelce, and then there's a steep drop off to like wide receiver 17. There is nobody on that roster that is a true wide receiver that can get open consistently. Like at this point, defenses could triple cover Travis Kelce, and there's nobody to really pick up the slack. Obviously, you can't triple cover someone and not leave somebody open, but there's no one to really pick up the slack. Marvin Mims, I don't know if that's a needle mover, but I feel like there's other things the Chiefs could do to potentially get better.
To be honest, I think Marvin Mims is significantly better than Sky Moore and Mecole Hardman ever were, for what that is worth. So, like, granted, that's a low bar, maybe, but I actually think that he's a skilled player and not just a fast guy that goes fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is also a case of like Marvin Mims is one of these players that there's just a wide range of projections from like all of the draft analyst community. I mean, Dane Brugler has him with a 3rd round grade. And so it's just like what I think some of this gets into like, what are your preferences for a receiver? I think some of the knocks that Mims will have is his size, which a lot of this class will have that weighing over them. Yeah. But, as far as need goes, I mean, I do think Kansas City needs a slot guy.
I say, and if there's a team that doesn't care about wide receiver size, it's Kansas City. So
yeah.
You can come in and do what you need to.
We talk about luxury picks. If there's a team that can afford a luxury pick, it's the reigning Super Bowl champions. So they can afford to miss on this guy, I guess, technically.
I think they could still use some defensive help.
I mean, they whiffed on CEH, and look at them. They won a freaking Super Bowl. So
yes, very much whiffed. They do need defensive help, Brian. I very much agree with you there. All right, folks, that is exactly what is going to happen tomorrow night.
There you go.
In the 2023 NFL draft. Nothing is wrong.
I feel like we need to place some bets here. Over under on how many picks we actually get right.
I will set the over under at 0.5, and I would still take the under.
And we got to set parameters. It's like we got to think destination and slot, so
I think destination is all that matters.
I agree.
Okay. 0.5.
No, I'm going to say
I would go realistically 4.5. Realistically, I would say 4.5.
Ooh, that's a better line than the 0.5.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, well, if someone's giving you a 0.5 line, I mean,
Yeah, just take the over.
Hey,
man.
Sleeper
the
does it
over.
every so often.
yeah. I would set it 4.5. I think that's fair. I mean, considering last year we got 1 correct, I think 4.5 is a generous line.
I'm gonna say 5.
Okay, so
Under. I
4.5.
think
We got 5.
You
I'll
the
take over.
Okay, there you go.
I'll take
Over 5.
No, I'm taking the over 4.5. I think we got 5 right.
I'll take 3 just because I think we talked about it. This class is a very unpredictable bunch once you get after the first 8 even. So I think we're going to see a lot of too many.
I'll even throw out who I think we got right. I think the Cardinals. I think the Colts, because I do think Stroud falls. I think the 2 offensive linemen to the Bears and Eagles, and then I think Joey Porter to the Steelers. I think those are the 5. So.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm saying 2.
Okay. I have 0, so
I'll
no
say
problem.
1.
There we go. All numbers covered.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, all right. Well, exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. This sheet right here. But we will be back tomorrow because every year, and just come to the originals because everyone else decided to fucking copy us after we did it. But the originals.
Never mind that Michael will be hosting one show.
Yeah.
I'll be hopping on here too.
All right. Did I say that? Did I say that? Did I say that? Sorry.
Yeah.
We started in 2018, I think, or
You inspired
2017
me last year. You inspired me.
I got you, bro. Hey, we are here to inspire. We are here to inspire. Doing it since 2018. So this is now year 6 of the live NFL draft show that we do. Rotating people in and out. Like we said, Michael will be here. I have my little sheet up in front of me. Austin will be back. Julia, I'm very excited. I love Julia. She was a lot of fun. Adam Hallis, who is on our Golf DFS show with the lovely Kelly.
Fun fact about Adam, his dad was actually a former draft pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh.
That's sick.
That's a cool
Nice.
fact.
Yeah. He has a signed note from Rooney, the owner.
That's awesome.
That's really
That's
cool.
sick.
That's dope.
I bet
Andrew
Adam was-
Elmquist,
I
Chris
bet Adam
Molina
was
will join us.
Really
Go ahead,
looking
Ryan.
forward to telling that story tomorrow. Way to go,
Oh.
Josh.
Wow.
Spoiler alert.
I'll bring it up. Okay.
What a dick. And then Mark Drumheller, our favorite Eagles fan,
yeah.
joins the show. So it's gonna be very exciting. Very, very exciting. All right. Gentlemen, thanks for doing this. This was great. I enjoyed it. Jagger, Michael, Joel, Austin, and Jorge, who is not here. Thank you all. Again, it's all gonna be right. So just be confident.
Love the
in your
confidence,
picks.
Joe.
Yeah, it's all going to be right, but I'm still saying none of them are correct. So very
ARQB1,
contradictory.
baby. That's the one I'm going to get right. ARQB.
I love it.
Anthony Richardson, quarterback 1.
Dude, if
Look out.
Carolina throws that curveball, holy shit, every freaking live draft stream ever is going to just burn in flames.
You're also going to hear every mock draft collectively crumble at the same time.
Except for ours.
Except for ours.
I promised Twitter that I'll eat a banana Will Levis style if Will Levis goes number 1 overall. So
why would you do this to yourself?
Why would you even?
I felt
Why would you even
inspired
try and
for the
promise it?
moment.
I feel like the better thing was at least drink coffee Will Levis style, not the
No,
banana.
I think eating the
God,
banana.
I think that'd be worse.
Yeah.
It's more visual, It's what the people want.
Yeah, exactly. A banana in your mouth. Exactly. That's exactly what the people want. Yeah. What a way to end the stream,
On a
Michael.
Thursday night.
Just what a better way to end your Thursday than by watching Michael choke down a banana,
All
Will
right.
Levis style.
Get us out of here.
I didn't say
Tired
it.
and
He did.
hungry.
I didn't say it. I'm also hungry.
I got
All right.
another show and I hate bananas. So
Yeah.
Facts.
Well, think of peaches then. All right. Thank you. Emoji humor is fantastic, folks, isn't it? Mock it like it's hot. Did a rookie draft with Gator J going for 2. What the hell is this?
The website is going for
sentence?
2. I
Oh
didn't
my
read
That's
God.
the website going for 2.
Oh my God. I was like divided by fantasy and frames. Like, what the fuck is this sentence? Going for 2 fantasy frames. Fantasy intervention on Monday returns Monday for rookie draft now with the landing spots. So this will be a very good market like I saw to tune into because the landing spots, according to Ryan, that's the only shit that matters. And I agree with that.
I was going to say, it'll be the first market like it's hot rookie draft I'll actually be able to give analysis on.
Yes, there you will. Herstory in the Making just dropped last night. If you're watching the podcast, it'll be Tuesday. Britt Flynn went international talking with Gemma Martinez from NFL Fantasy and Espanol, Estadio Fantasy and Football Girls Mexico. The show was not in Spanish, just for those wondering. So our English speakers, you will. It's okay. I saw Gemma's Twitter feed and I was like, oh my God, this is all Spanish. Yeah. So that's cool.
She's an absolutely fantastic guest.
And May 9th will be Casey Kasem, who has been with us multiple times, but she'll be on with Britt for Herstory in the Making. Who's your caddy? This week is the Mexico Open. Adam, who will be on with us tomorrow. Kelly, every Tuesday, they are on Golf DFS. And 6th annual NFL Draft Stream, live tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be very, very exciting, as always. And Sunday is the debut of Club Dynasty, the after party. Go ahead, Joel. Try and fist bump him. You got it. Wrong way. Knew he was going to do that. Knew he was going to do that. That's why I said it.
Use your other hand.
Michael, Joel, and Andrew Elmquist. They will be kicking off the show. It is Dynasty Fantasy Football, baby. And that is what it's going to be. So we have an entire show dedicated for the Dynasty nerds out there, just like Ryan and I. That's no, definitely not. But
what?
Yeah, that was the joke. Get it? Haha. Okay. And then Josh added in all the timestamps that I definitely am going to go through and read every single one right now.
Stop. Jagger's got a show to do. He's got a mouse here.
All right. For Jagger, Michael, Joel, Austin, Josh, Ryan, me, the Bismarck Larks. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy. We will see you tomorrow for the live NFL draft stream. We are so excited. We will see you then.